Hey guys, Scripture here with another video. Saw this on Twitter from somebody that I've been following for quite a while, Lily. And just when you think Simu Liu can't get any more annoying, stop appropriating the English language, Western fashion, and don't be in movies like Barbie, etc. So she's commenting because Liu got a little bit over the top offended about a bubble tea pitch on, I think, Dragon's Den, which is the Canadian sort of Shark Tank. So let's watch this, and then we'll talk about the issues here.
I am studying your can, and I am looking for anything that tells me where boba came from. And where boba came from is Taiwan. You know, I started this venture company for a lot of reasons, but really primarily to uplift minority entrepreneurs. And not only do I feel like this is not happening here.
Whoa. Not only do I not find it's happening here. Well, is it happening in China? Like, if there's any ingredients in Chinese food products, drink products that come from other countries, are they acknowledging where they're coming from? I have my doubts. I seriously have my doubts. The other thing that's interesting about this whole discussion about, minority businesses. Bro, globally, you're in a minority country. There are far less Caucasian people than there are Oriental people. In fact, there's probably less Caucasian people than there are Chinese people. Let's check. So according to a quick search, it's saying that 16% of the world is white. 1.19 billion. I've seen other numbers. Some people say the correct figure is closer to about 8%. Okay. Total population of Orientals. Since you're tying your Chinese-ness into the Taiwan. Asia has 4.75 billion, but that's a totally different... What percentage of the world population is Oriental? So East Asians. 35% of the world's population. Which sounds about right. Okay, population of China. Okay, because you're Chinese, right? 1.412 billion. So there are more Chinese, forget about all the other East Asian populations, there are more Chinese people in the world than Caucasian people. So what's the big hullabaloo here? Like, if anything, we're the minority, bro. We're the minority, and we're becoming more and more of a minority. So what are you worrying about? What are you so worried about white people for? Like, who cares? And I think you done pretty well as a Canadian, right? You don't call yourself, you call yourself a Chinese Canadian, but you've done pretty well, I think. Maybe I'm crazy,
but that I would be uplifting a business that is profiting off of something that feels so dear to my cultural heritage.
So he's essentially saying that anything that's from East Asia is his cultural heritage. Is he... Now, here's an interesting one, okay? So the Chinese have made it pretty public that they believe that Taiwan is theirs. The people of Taiwan don't. They would say, no, our culture is separate from you, Mr. Canadian Chinese man. So take that for what you will. He's assuming that their culture is his. Interesting when you really start breaking it down. That's why these conversations are so stupid. They're so stupid and petty and childish and dumb.
I want to be a part of bringing boba to the masses, but not like this. So for that reason, I'm out.
Thanks.
Respect that.
Respect that.
It makes me sad how successful this business is. It makes me sad that people are, they're drinking boba with a raccoon with a sun.
It doesn't mean that they don't have the opportunity to change and do that.
That's true, but there has to be a willingness, and I have to be able to invest in these founders knowing that, that change is possible.
They didn't say no. The collaboration that they've had to this point is with their supplier in Taiwan. And if nobody else has told them that before, you can't put that all on them.
Yeah, exactly. So their supplier is still supplying them with boba, and they don't have a problem with it. Because you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to make money, and they're not fussing over cultural appropriation and stupid stuff. And what you notice about this whole discussion about cultural appropriation, it's often coming from very, very wealthy people. He's very wealthy. It's coming from actors, wealthy politicians, singers, athletes, people that have no other worry in the world. The people supplying them with this ingredient are trying to make a living. They don't have time to worry about this type of garbage that you have the time to worry about because you're so wealthy. And I think in some ways in our society, we're allowing the wealthy people to implode our culture because they have all this extra time and energy to focus on all the problems that aren't really problems that nobody really cares about. And they're making people care about them instead of worrying about actual issues. Like, you never see a guy like this talk about the homeless problem in his hometown. Doesn't talk about it. He worries about, you didn't put bobas from Taiwan on your can. I'm offended. Meanwhile, literally in the city of Toronto, there's homeless people everywhere. It's got major problems. Major problems. So, what a donkey. As far as I'm concerned. And then I was like, okay, so it's really hard on search engines today to find the opposite, to find examples of a business owned by a non-white person that is, quote, appropriating white culture. But before I get into that, I do have some stuff about that. I did want to mention as well that he's in America, he's in Canada. America and Canada are founded on a combination of European cultures mixing together. So you have like New Orleans, which is more French. You have Quebec, obviously, which is more French in Canada. You have different areas because different European cultures were brought over and settled in different places. And so you have a variation of things. And in fact, in the States, I would argue you have, it's almost like every state's a different country in a lot of ways. Sort of like Europe or the European Union. And so eventually, more and more people from Asia and wherever, the Far East and Africa and stuff like that started coming over as well. Like, they were always there, but more of them came. They became more prominent. They brought some of their cultures with them. Of course they did. But you know what ends up happening? When you get a whole bunch of people that are different together, people start liking other people's stuff. They think it's cool. They like their food, or they like some of the things they wear, or they like their hair. People have to remember, this whole thing is so nonsensical. There was this big outrage over white people having braided hair. That's Dutch. It's a Dutch braid. That's who invented it. But somehow that became, in the view of some African American people or black people, whatever, that it became theirs because they've been doing their hair like that for so long. But in reality, somebody saw the Dutch braid on a Dutch person and said, hey, I really like that. I want that. And so should the Dutch be offended by that? Of course not. It's actually saying it's good. This is actually saying it's good. Boba tea, whatever, is good. I've never had it. I don't even know really much about it. But, so this whole thing is just a bunch of rich losers who have nothing else to do but complain about nothing. And again, if the people from Taiwan cared, they'd make an issue out of it, but they don't. So they didn't, because they don't care. They're not worried about it. They don't care about the raccoon. And again, I will bet dollars to donuts. It's almost impossible to find anything about it because our internet is so skewed right now with these issues in one direction against one group of people for some reason, that I will bet any money that there are products in China and everywhere else in the world that you could argue appropriate white culture. Is Beyonce appropriating white culture when she straightens her hair and dyes it blonde? I mean, where are you going to draw the line? Does it only go one way? Because I think white people look at that just like the Dutch braids and say, hey, that's cool. They like what we're doing. They like what we find beautiful as well. So yeah, have at her. That's actually a compliment. It's a compliment. Anyway, so I went through this and I do remember this guy saying something about being the first Asian action star. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. I could be wrong. Again, very difficult to find anything about that now. Or at least I didn't want to spend too much time on that. So I could be wrong about that, but I think he said that, which is super dumb because there's been like lots of them before him. Maybe he said Marvel superhero. But again, he's only saying it in a movie. In the comics, there's lots of Oriental people, so it's the whole thing is so stupid and whiny and dumb. So I decided to check some things. So I decided to focus on the waffle, because the waffle has become this big thing. So again, the Dutch started the waffle. They started it. There you go, Belgian. Some people think they go back to ancient Greece. Either way, they've been around for a long time. 1604. And they didn't come from Asia. Okay? There you go. So this is in the 1940s and 50s. Recall a bustling little city where a young entrepreneur could really make an impression. And this is a 7-year-old article, and this appropriation nonsense has been going on for quite a while. Certainly since before 2017. But for some reason, it's okay when it's One Direction, right? Perfectly fine. Nobody says anything. Interesting. Featuring Waffle House founder Susan Chu, whose life in New Westminster in the 1940s and 50s recall a bustling little city where a young entrepreneur can make an impression. The restaurant has moved 2 times, passed out of the family altogether since she first opened the small cafe in 1955. Okay, so she's from Virginia, worked on a farm, okay, whatever. She decided to start a Waffle House. Now, is that bad? Is it bad that she made money off of waffles that were invented by white Europeans? Most likely, or maybe Greeks? Is that bad? Should she be shunned? Should we go back and any of the family wealth that's been passed on through the generations, should it be removed? Remember what he said? He said, oh, well, I don't like that this is a successful business. He literally is mad that they made money selling an Asian product. Well, guess what? Asians have been making money selling white people products for quite a while, bud. Interesting, though, eh? It's funny how they spin it in their own mind, and it's crazy to me that some people support that spin when it literally took me 10 minutes to find this information, and nobody does that. Nobody does that. They started a restaurant, ended up being like 6 restaurants, whatever, making lots of money, and that's okay. But somehow these people making money off of an Asian drink is bad. It's crazy. It's crazy how it all goes one way. Waffles were served with pulled chicken and gravy in the 1600s. A different interpretation influenced by soul food emerged much later in Harlem in 1938, 340 years later. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. All that is a compliment to the Dutch, to the Belgians, whoever, right? It's a compliment that you like that. But see how it's changed from now it's like it's about the skin color of the person who owns it. It just feels like that's all these people care about. They don't do any research. They don't look into anything. And again, it's always these rich actors, actresses, politicians, musicians that make this an issue. I just don't get how this helps anybody. Like, let's say that now a whole bunch of the sheep say, well, because he's offended, I'm now offended, I'm not going to buy this product. And their sales drop. Who does that affect? Obviously, it affects them, the 2 people from Montreal or whatever. Who else does it affect? It affects his supposed victims of whatever, cultural appropriation in Taiwan that now aren't making as much money. So his false outrage is potentially going to hurt them and their ability to create wealth. And he's already rich. He's so rich he has an investment firm that invests in businesses. Like, this is how crazy things have become. Who cares? You want to have a braid? Have your braid. You want to have straight blonde hair? I don't care. You want to drink tea, Asian style tea that's made in Canada? I don't care. But this whole thing is so ridiculous. And I just had to comment on it. I just couldn't take it anymore. Like, this is just the stupidest thing ever. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Can we just end all this nonsense and stop crying over stupid stuff that nobody cares about except you, these rich people? Can we stop being influenced by these idiots, please? Please. Anyways, let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check out anything else on my channel and have yourselves a really good day.